Last time on part 1 of reading out of my comfort zone for 2 weeks, sci-fi. I've always said that I've wanted to get into sci-fi more, but I'm terrified to do so. And moments when you're like, are they gonna kiss? And then they don't, and then you're like, ah! And just thinking about their relationship makes me do this. I figured out what bothers me so much about this book. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to part 2 of this lovely video that I am doing where I read sci-fi for 2 weeks straight because I am trying to get out of my genre comfort zone, and I figured what better place to start than reading some sci-fi, because if you haven't seen part 1, go give it a watch because I explain all of this in there a lot better than I'm doing right now. But sci-fi has always been absolutely terrifying to me, which doesn't make any sense to me either because I love fantasy and it's like one step away. Part 1 of this video, I read 3 books where I talked through Bonds of Brass by Emily Skrutsky, Red Rising by Pierce Brown, and Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. So if you haven't seen that one yet, go watch it. Let's get this video started. So just a bit of context before we jump in to this first clip. I put up an Instagram poll to see which book I was going to read next between The Dragon Pearl, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and Collapsing Empire. So at the beginning of this clip that you're gonna see next, I am talking about N.K. Jemisin's short story collection, How Long Till Black Future Month, and let's just go from there. I've also read about, or listened to about 33% of the N.K. Jemisin short stories, and I have liked a few of them, but I think short story collections aren't for me because I need enough time to get attached to the characters, and by the time we're attached to the characters, we're on to the next story already. There have been 2 so far that I've really liked, and the one that was about the city we became was literally just the prologue to the book, and I've read that already, so I just skipped over it. I will keep listening to that at some points, and they're not all sci-fi, which is also an issue for this video, but also just like interesting because it's just a compilation of short stories. But there are some that I enjoy, and N.K. Jemisin's writing is fantastic, so there is that. Hello my lovely friends. It is now Monday. Brand new week, second week of this reading vlog experiment, and I wanted to pop in with an update for which book that I am currently reading. So the poll last night that I put up ended up saying Dragon Pearl, but it's changed as of today. I think Dragon Pearl and Long Way to a Small Angry Planet are tied because last night I wanted to read something and this one was eking out by like 1 in the voting system. I am going to read this first, and I am currently 100 pages in and kind of enjoying it. I gotta say that a lot of the characters and a lot of the motivation currently is kind of flat. Like Min, the main character, isn't really feeling anything. She's just going with the flow and things are happening kind of easy for her, which I hope that changes. I hope that there's a little bit more personality and protagginess in this, but this world is also really cool because it mixes sci-fi and fantasy, which I'm very excited about. So we will see how this goes, and it is a little bit of a break from all the adult sci-fi that I've read. And then the next book that I'm going to read is A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet because that's now tied with this one. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm also continuing to listen to the N.K. Jemisin short stories this week. I'm hoping that one of these upcoming sci-fis really blows me out of the water and we kind of wrap up this video pretty well. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit in anything else other than those 2 because of the way that I read during the week. If I have A Long Way and Collapsing Empire going into the weekend, those will be the last 2 that I read for this video, but we will find out as we get closer. Hello friends, happy Wednesday? It's Wednesday now. I'm just popping in with an update. I finished The Dragon Pearl last night. I didn't end up reading on Tuesday. I didn't read anything on Tuesday because I made the mistake of finding a new D&D podcast show to watch, and I'm hooked now. So I made myself read all of The Dragon Pearl last night, and gotta say, very underwhelming. I was bored, and I was not wanting to pick it up, which is probably also why I didn't read it Tuesday. So the world concept in this is fun. Like, it's got Korean mythology, it mixes it with sci-fi. We've got gumihos and dragon people and goblins. Like, it's got all these things that have the potential to be incredible, but it was so poorly executed that it was just boring the whole time. And a lot of the elements of this world I didn't understand, and the powers that these dragon people had or the goblins had, and I think the world building could have been done better. The characters were all so flat. Like, for example, we have a ghost in this, his name is Jang, and I don't know his motives, I don't know his personality. Occasionally he would be like really nice to Min, but then he would also just be randomly really mean to Min for no reason at all. And like, there's no reasoning behind it. It was just like a choice that the narrative needed for him to be slightly mean. And speaking of Min, our main character, she was so flat. She had no change in her from the beginning to the end. She just kind of went through it, and it was a little bit like things would happen to her very easily and things would just fall into place pretty easy. She wouldn't really have that much of like pushback, and she just didn't really feel anything. Like when she first runs away, she just runs. Like she's just like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go run away now and go find my brother. Like not even thinking about it. Like a lot of kids I know at least would be super dramatic about this choice because it is a huge choice to run away, leave your home planet to go find your brother. Like you'd be worried about your brother, you'd be dwelling on it, you'd be so concerned. But Min just was like, cool, I'm gonna go run away now. I'm gonna take my scooter and run away. And like the whole time, she just kept doing the same thing. Like she kept running away for no reason or doing things for no reason. Like I would say she's impulsive, but like there's no personality trait behind that. It's just she does stuff to do which is okay. Like it was still enjoyable to like follow the narrative, I guess. The story had so much potential, and then by the end of it, like something really big happens to Min. And if you wanted to really hit us with that emotional punch, you would have had us like see Min change and grow, and like you would have made us really love Min to be able to feel that emotional hit at the end. But like I cry at everything. This huge emotional moment, I was just like, cool, and I kept going. Like it wasn't done very well. So I don't know what this is gonna be rated. Nothing any higher than a 3, I can assure you that. So I'm gonna put it through Copile and see where we end up with it. But I actually went back into my archives on that Instagram poll that picked this that night. And when I last talked to you about it, it was a tie between the Dragon Pearl and The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I looked at it in my archives like after it had expired. This one won out by so much. So we're gonna read this next, and I'm excited about it because I have heard only good things. And like everybody loves Becky Chamber. Everybody loves Becky Chambers, and I hope to love it. I've also I was thinking that it was more of a soft sci-fi, like really character driven. It is really character driven, and I brought that up to my friends who have read it, and one of them was like, well, actually the world building is pretty intense in this. So, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's a little bit more of a higher sci-fi than I thought it was gonna be. But yes, this is my next read for this video. I will hopefully read some tonight, and tomorrow's Thursday. I'm really hoping that I can get The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet done before Friday, or at least wrap it up on Friday, and then have Saturday and Sunday to finish The Collapsing Empire and the M.K. Jemisin short stories that I still have, because I haven't listened to them in a while, since the weekend. So that's my plan. Good morning, my friends. Happy Saturday. It's been a few days since I last talked to you, and I wanted to pop in with a little update as we head into this weekend. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I am currently exactly 50% of the way through, and I'm liking it a lot. It is a really lovely combination of super sci-fi, techie, spaceships in space, and like all sorts of different species of beings were being interacted with and all that kind of stuff. So it's a good mix of that and like a super close personal look at these characters, and they're just living their lives on this spaceship, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm hoping to have this finished today. I was supposed to have it done yesterday so that I could read The Collapsing Empire today. We have such a mix of characters in The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Like we have our Captain Ashby, we have our asshole Corbin, who just is so mean to like literally everybody. We have Sisek, our like, I want to say navigator, but they're not, because there's another person or another being's Ohan that is their navigator and is a navigator as a species, which is really interesting. And then Kizzy and Jenks are just so cute. They're like the tech people. I love them so much. And then we have Rosemary, who is just like the most innocent person and so naive, and like you can tell that she's been raised in a really sheltered racist society, because like she's thinking about all these things. She's like, oh, I know that this is a thing because, like, for an example, when she first met Sissix, who is a different species to her on the Wayfarer, she was just like, oh, like, I know all this stuff about Andrisks, so I'm prepared for anything. And I know that they're like super sexual beings, but not like in a sexual way. Like, she's going at it in a way that she's like explaining everything too much, and she's just not going with the flow, and she has misconceptions about a lot of things that you can really see in her as she speaks and thinks, which is so interesting to have a character like that like counterbalanced with these other characters who have been in space and live with these people and are not racist. And I'm just like, this is great. I like that Becky Chambers has done this, but also done it in a way that like Rosemary isn't like maliciously racist. She's just been raised in a society that has given her these ideals and taught her these thinking ways that she needs to get rid of, obviously, but she's not maliciously hating on any species. She just has these misconceptions that need to be torn down, which is such a gentle way, and Rosemary's such a gentle character, and I hope that she has an incredible character arc in this. So far, we already are having her change quite a bit, and she's relaxing, and she's showing a little bit more of herself to these people as well, which is great. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far, so that's awesome. So yeah, I'm hoping to finish this today. I think I have 4 hours left in the audiobook at the speed that I'm listening to it at, which is like 2.3 speed. So 4 hours of this. And I was actually looking at the back of this book, and one of the blurbs is from Claire North, who is the author of the first 15 Lives of Harry August, which is another book that I have on my shelves and I didn't realize was sci-fi. So there's a lot of books that I just don't realize are sci-fi. Anyways, I'm gonna go shower because I need to fix this atrocious mess. I will catch up with you when I'm finished the long way. Hey friends, it is now a little bit later and I'm in my office, and I finished The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. And I really enjoyed this book. Oh, it was so good. Oh my goodness, I loved every single character except for Corbin. He's just a speciest asshole. I don't like him. But everybody else was so fabulous, and that ending was so good and broke my heart into a million pieces. Oh my god, I'm gonna need the next, like, all of her books now. It's because she does storytelling so well. She just has a way of intermingling the big epic sci-fi-ness of this world and this universe that she's created and brought it down to such a human level. It was so good. The quote on the front here by The Guardian is perfect. It's a quietly profound, humane tour de force, and that's what it is. Like, there's hardly any emphasis on their job as what they're doing, punching holes in the universe basically to make roads safer and quicker for people to go through so that they can get to places faster in the galaxy, but it's just the focus is on them as people and living this life on this job, and I loved it so much. Oh my god. So I'm gonna have to put that through Compile to see what my rating is, but it's up there. It's definitely up there. Oh, it was so lovely, but it was so gentle too. I was just listening to a little bit more of the N.K. Jemisin audiobook. I think I'm about 50% of the way through now, but again, because it's a different story every 20 minutes to an hour long period, I can't grasp onto these stories very often. So I think I'm going to take a break because I think book club starts at 4, but I'm gonna start The Collapsing Empire because I feel like I need something a little bit more action-packed now that I've had this like sigh of relief with this one. I get it now. I get why people love Becky Chambers. I love her too. She might be a new favorite author if I read more of her books and love them. So that's big news. Big news on my channel. New favorite author is a sci-fi author? Who would have thunk it? Yeah, but definitely gonna see what I can do about picking up more of her books. I think my branch of sci-fi is the kind of sci-fi that has like really compelling characters and then like all of the epicness of like spaceships and battles and that kind of stuff. Like kind of like Bonds of Brass, like you have flight pilots. That's also what I loved about Skyward. So that's gonna be something that I need to look into more, which is great. I've also thought about more of these series that I could do of reading past my comfort zone and reading out of my comfort zone. That is what I've decided to call this series. And I have written down sci-fi, which is this one, historical romance, because that's something that I like romance, but I haven't been, sunflare, but I have not been like super drenched in the niches of romance, like the books that people would typically call trashy romance, like Harlequin romances and stuff. So I think my best place to start is just to do like a week of historical romance, because that's diving into that world and also something that like I know I'm gonna like enough, just like sci-fi was. Like it's just a step away from something that I know I love, which is fantasy. Historical romance is a step away from like regular modern day romance, which I do really like. And really my goal with each of these videos, I think, is going to be finding my niche in each of these genres. So I have one here called thrillers, horrors, and mysteries. And what I want to do with that video is just dabble and see which one I like the best, because right now as I'm sitting, I think I don't like thrillers and horrors, but I really like detective mystery novels. So I'm gonna see if I can find my niche in the thriller genre and the horror genre, but that's coming way later, way later in the year. So don't worry about that now. But as of right now, we're gonna have a great sun flare to end this clip as I go get the collapsing empire. Hello, my lovely friends. Happy Sunday. It is Valentine's Day. And this one's birthday! Is it your birthday? It's your birthday. Come here. Come here. Come say hi. Oh, she's 10 today. You an old lady today? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Come here. Yes, I know. It is way too cold outside, though, to take Phil for a walk, because we have an extreme cold warning. It is minus 34 with the wind chill outside. No, it's actually worse. It's minus 40 with the wind chill outside. Did you know that? The sun is very bright. Anyways, hello, my friends. What's up today? Not a whole lot. I have been asked yet again to host one of Desi's live streams. It's the Emma live stream today, and I'm very excited to talk about Emma, one of my favorite Jane Austen books ever, and it's very fitting since today is Valentine's Day. But I started this last night. Let me put you here. And I'm enjoying it. The audiobook is narrated by Will Wheaton, which was a shock to listen to, and all of a sudden just be hearing Will Wheaton's voice and being like, whoa, this is my goal today. The audiobook is actually really short. I think it's like only 9 hours in total. So if I listen to it on like a fast speed, we should be golden today. So that's awesome. It's Valentine's Day, it's Bella's birthday. Ain't nothing going on because it's way too cold for anything to be going on. So there's that. But yeah, I am going to make myself a coffee and breakfast and start reading. It is now Sunday night and I'm in my office watching some D&D. I ended up finishing the Collapsing Empire earlier today, so I'm officially done. And I called it as soon as I finished the Collapsing Empire because I was just kind of tired of sci-fi, which is totally normal because I have been reading it for 2 weeks straight and I'm desperate for like a fantasy or a romance to cleanse my palate and like restart myself. I have also decided to break my book buying ban, hence the reason I have my computer here as well. And I'm going to place an order for some books and all of them are sci-fi, which is so exciting. Something called Escaping Exodus, Space Opera, Chilling Effect, and Blackfish. I want to say those were the 4. They all seemed really interesting and I've had them on my radar for like this entire week, and I'm really excited. I can't find any Becky Chambers that I would like to buy on the specific website that I'm looking on, so I am going to shelve those for a bit and come back to them when I want to get more sci-fi. But I'm allowing myself this little bit of a break to get some books, and I'm so excited. All right, my friends, so I've set you up on a tripod. We're gonna wrap up this video here. This is part 2 of my reading outside my comfort zone adventure into sci-fi. I'm really happy how this week kind of went. I wish it went a little bit better, obviously, because there were a few books that like really kind of missed the mark for me. But we started off this whole thing pretty okay. I started reading Bonds of Brass, but the first book that I finished was Binti by Nnedi Okorafor, which I ended up giving 3 stars. It was pretty solid until the end. End really messed it up for me. It was gonna be like a 4-star, but then like the ending ruined it for me. So 3 stars, still pretty solid, and I enjoy Nnedi Okorafor's writing, but I don't think I will be continuing with the Binti trilogy, because I did ask my friends. I was like, oh, like, or one of them was like, oh, how did you feel about Binti? And I was like, I mean, it was okay until the ending, and the ending really ruined it for me. And she goes, well, then don't read the next ones because it's not gonna get any better. Noted. So probably won't be reading any more from the Binti, but I will be on the lookout for more Nnedi Okorafor books, because I did enjoy reading Lagoon back in university, which is another one of her books. So enjoyed that one. But that was book number 1 that I finished for this series, which was featured in part 1 of this video, which also featured Bonds of Brass and Red Rising by Pierce Brown, and the beginning of N.K. Jemisin's short story collection, which I have not finished. I'm still sitting at 50%, but I will be finishing it in the weeks to come. But I will stand by what I said about it before, is that some stories really stand out, but I do find short stories too short for my liking, because I really like to get to know a character and like get to know the story and have a really satisfying ending, and short stories just don't give me that. But there have been a few short stories that I really want her to write into full books. Like there was one short story about these like gun-slinging lesbians in like the Victorian era, or like an older era in New Orleans, and I was like, this needs to be a whole series. These sound incredible. So Bonds of Brass by Emily Skretsky. I did address the racial issue with that one because she is a very white woman who wrote a person of character main character, and we all know how bad that is. Don't do it. I've listened to this clip 3 times now, and I still can't believe I said person of character. Person of color. Oh my god. Person of color character. What happened? I don't know. So there is that. But I did enjoy that one a fair amount, and it was like right out the gate, just really enjoyable. So I think my niche with sci-fi, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I think my niche with sci-fi is something closer to Bonds of Brass, where it has the character element as well as the really high techie stuff that like, and like spaceship flying fights and stuff. I just really enjoy that kind of stuff. But I gave that one 4 stars because I really enjoyed it and I got really attached to the characters. So I will be continuing that one. The next book that I finished for this video was Red Rising by Pierce Brown, which was also featured in part 1. And that one made me angry in the middle. To me, it was more of a dystopian than anything else. I ended up actually giving that one 3.5 stars because in the compile system, it came to a low 4-star, which is okay. It was quite entertaining in the beginning. I really enjoyed it, and the end kind of picked it up a little bit, but the middle was saggy for me. And I'm still uncertain whether I will continue with this series or not, because it is one of those things that I want to kind of know what happens and like how Darrow goes through this and what his actual point is for everything. I cover that in part 1, but we will see. But in this specific part of this video, I read The Dragon Pearl by Yoon-Ha Lee, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, and The Collapsing Empire by John Scalzi. So, The Dragon Pearl by Yoon-Ha Lee, I ran it through compile. It came out to be a really low 3-star, so I gave it 2.5 stars. And it was not great. As I covered in this video, issues with flat characters and not great world building, in my opinion. So 2.5 stars for that one, which is really unfortunate. That is the first Rick Riordan Presents book that I've given such a low rating on. Then I read The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, and I loved that one so much. I gave that one 4.5 stars. Absolutely loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. It was so good. I want to read all of Becky Chambers' books now. Oh my gosh. But yeah, definitely incredible. And I think it's because she balances the really big sci-fi and the human touches, and like you get to know like really close characters really well, which is something that I love, because then in such an expansive universe or world, even with high fantasy, you want to be able to connect to characters, to really connect and care about what's going on. And that book did it for me, and I think that's like my niche for sci-fi, is having that like epic big world really well explained and laid out to me like it was in Bonds of Brass and the Becky Chambers book, and kind of in The Collapsing Empire, we'll get to that one, mixed with these characters that I can really attach myself to. I think that's what I need. And I still need it to be slightly high action like it was for Bonds of Brass. The Becky Chambers one wasn't really that high action, but I didn't really care because I was so invested in these characters' lives, and I was like, yeah, it's fine, they're on a big spaceship and they're on a job. That's basically what the plot is. So yeah, really loved that one. And then we ended with The Collapsing Empire by John Scalzi, which I'm giving 3.5 stars. It was good, and I really enjoyed the characters. Some of the characters were just incredible, super like bounce off the page fun, but I just couldn't care less about what was happening in the story. Like I don't know, there wasn't a whole lot going on, even though there was a lot going on. Like we were following an empress, following a captain, not really a captain of a ship, but like an owner of a ship who is just like, doesn't take anything from anybody and is the most like foul mouth, which I loved. She was a spitfire. Now we're following this other family that's kind of the worst, but like it was enjoyable just because the characters were enjoyable. Like I didn't really care about the plot at all, but in a completely different way from the Becky Chambers book. Like the Becky Chambers book, I was invested in the story as well as the characters enough because the characters cared about it. In this Collapsing Empire, I just honestly couldn't care less about the story. If I wasn't reading for this video, it probably would have taken me weeks to finish if I was reading it on my own, which is so sad to say. That one is another question mark, whether I'm gonna finish that series or not, continue with it, because as I said, don't really care about the story a whole lot, but maybe book 2 makes it different. So that is everything that I read for this series, these 2 weeks that I've been devoting to sci-fi. And I think I've come out of it on the other end liking sci-fi. Obviously I have, because I just placed an order for books and they're all sci-fi. And I'm excited to keep exploring in this genre to really pin down what I like. We will continue our search and our exploration into sci-fi. But as of now, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it all the way through, you guys are troopers. Let me know down below if you recommend any other sci-fi books, because I will be putting them on my list. If you want to see any more of these specific videos from me, as I said, I've been planning a few of them and that are probably going to appear within this year, but if you want to see me read a specific genre, let me know and I will see what I can do. If you haven't yet, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because you should join me on my little side of BookTube and AuthorTube as well. Catch you in another video soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.